called my best friend and was like, this motherfucker is sleeping with prostitutes. Like, when I say hundreds, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I never even reached the end of the beginning of the text messages because there were so many.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Today, we will be diving into the complexities of a relationship. We got an email from a woman, and the subject line read, "My boyfriend has cheated on me with hundreds of prostitutes, and I'm still with him." So we're going to find out all about this, understand her mindset a little bit more, and we've got the guest on the line. So thank you so much for being on today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. So your subject line kind of says it all. We obviously have a million follow-up questions to that, but can you just, I guess, talk about before you found out that your boyfriend was sleeping with hundreds of prostitutes, can you just describe your boyfriend a little, just describe your relationship briefly?
Yeah, of course. So we had been together at the point that I found out for a little over a year. We had already had a child together. For the most part, our relationship was good. We started to get into a little bit of turbulence a little bit later on. We stopped having sex for probably close to a year. Which obviously is hard on a relationship, especially hard on me. So that's when I started suspecting that, he was probably cheating on me. I wasn't expecting, to find what I found, but, I was expecting maybe a coworker, friend, or ex-girlfriend or something. Obviously having a baby can be tough on any relationship, but I wasn't prepared to find out what I did.
So you have these thoughts of I feel like he's having an affair. How did you come to find that he was sleeping with a bunch of prostitutes?
So I had tried to talk to him about our lack of sex life, multiple times before I kind of got to, the desperate point that I got. And he denied sleeping with other people or talking to other people. And so I went through his phone. I don't condone going through your partner's phone, but I did. I grabbed his phone one night and I went into the bathroom and I started going through everything, checked Facebook, Instagram, text messages, all that. And then that's when I found two of those texting apps where you can generate a random phone number. And I opened them up, both of them, one by one, and started reading the text. At first, I was pretty confused as to what I was looking at. He used a lot of acronyms with these women that I was not familiar with. And honestly, at first, I thought he was trying to, maybe do porn or something, because he had done some modeling in the past. I'm like, okay, we're a little short on cash. Maybe he's just trying to make some extra money. And then I started looking at, more of these messages. And that's when it occurred to me what was actually going on. So I called my best friend and was like, this motherfucker is sleeping with prostitutes. This is not what I expected.
Yeah, you would almost assume, even though you're kind of bracing yourself for bad news potentially if you're at the point that you're sitting in the bathroom going through the phone. But like you said, you probably expect something more, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but a coworker, someone else, an ex. So what was that feeling when you realized he's not having sex with me, but he's going out of his way to pay women for sex?
Yeah, I was devastated. I was panicking. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I'm just, I'm scrolling through them, and I stepped outside because I was literally having a panic attack. My best friend kind of calmed me down a little bit, and I started scrolling through these messages and would open them, look into another one. And I scrolled. When I say hundreds, I'm not exaggerating. I never even reached the end of the beginning of the text messages because there were so many. And I was absolutely devastated, but also it made sense. I finally got the answer I was looking for. And yes, he was in fact cheating on me. But paying for women, I never expected that. You hear about prostitutes and sex workers and, in movies and TV shows, but for it to happen in real life was crazy.
So how did you go about confronting him?
So I actually wasn't planning on confronting him that night, but he obviously heard the commotion and ended up coming outside. And he was like, "What's going on?" Because I was telling my best friend, like, I can't breathe. Like, I can't breathe. And he came outside and he was like, "Well, what's going on? Like, why can't you breathe?" And that's when I hung up with my best friend and told him, like, what is this? What, you're sleeping with prostitutes? And he sat down and was like, "Yeah, I'm a sex addict. He's been doing this for a while." And at that point, I was so overwhelmed. I kicked him out for the night. He was mad at me for going through his phone. I was mad at him. And I was like, "You know what? You need to leave." So I did. I kicked him out, and he actually broke his phone. So there was no more evidence of what he did. And I kind of took a few days to process, and that's when I, let him come back so we could actually talk about it.
Did you believe him in that moment? I feel like we see instances now where if men get caught cheating, they kind of jump to the "I'm a sex addict" excuse, and I'm sure that it's true in some cases, but I would have to imagine that it's also kind of the easiest first excuse if you get caught cheating. But did you believe him?
I want to say I did believe him for a while, because when he came back and we started talking about it, that's when he told me that he never actually met up with them, that it was more of like a kink or a fantasy, that he would reach out to these women and talk to them when he felt lonely, when we were fighting. He honestly kind of made me feel like it was my fault for why he had to talk to these women. He said he'd been doing it for years, kind of on and off. And like I said, when he got lonely or needed to fulfill this kink or fantasy. And I want to say I did believe him for a while that he had never actually met with them.
Do you believe that?
Not now.
Yeah.
Now it's like he has never admitted to actually sleeping with them. And, it's something that we talk about still. And he still denies ever meeting with them. But now I don't believe it. I know it's bullshit. I've done enough digging on my own to find out, I found out some proof, it's not like, it's not anything like I've seen him go into a motel or anything like that. But I found a good amount of evidence that he has, that I found.
What do you mean by like evidence?
So I actually, a couple months later, after I had found out, I heard about this app. It's basically like a Yelp for sex workers, and they are able to leave reviews on their clients. And I downloaded the app. I looked up his old phone number and his current phone number and actually found reviews of him.
Wait, it's an app where the sex workers leave reviews of their clients?
Yes. Yeah, it's wild. They can kind of warn other sex workers of these men that they meet with, or I guess women, don't discriminate. And actually one of the reviews had said that he met up with her, got the service that he wanted, and then said that he forgot his wallet in his car, went out to his car, and just left. And she had his license plate, what type of car he drives, and what he looks like.
Okay, that evidence would hold up in court.
Yeah, that's very damning.
Yeah, exactly.
So you kind of just accepted the fact that he's going to lie about this forever, but you're choosing to stay with him. Can you kind of walk us through why you've made that decision?
I don't think I'll be with him forever. I want, I am pregnant now, so I'm expecting another child with him. And the reason why I feel like I'm still with him is, one, I do love him still. I am extremely hurt by this, but I feel like I'm with him for my own like personal issues. It's hard when you're with somebody for so long and you have not one child, but another one on the way to just up and leave. Being a single mom is not an easy life, especially with 2 young kids. And it's more of like a comfort thing for me. Eventually I'd like to get the truth from him. If I can get him into therapy and we can talk about it, I at some point I'm going to need him to come forward and come clean and tell me exactly, how many of these prostitutes he's actually slept with.
And if he did that, would you say there's a better chance of you staying with him if he acknowledged the truth versus if he continues denying it?
I think so, because maybe even in his head, he's kind of denies it himself. Where, I don't know if it's embarrassing for him. And I mean, he's told me he was embarrassed when I found out. So I think if he were to come clean, then we can try to work through it. But right now it's really hard for me to know that what he's done, but yet he won't admit to me.
Well, have you brought up the recent evidence that you mentioned of the review to him?
Yes, I did. Of course I did.
And it's just pure denial?
Oh yeah, it's pure denial. He said that, he must have pissed off this sex worker and she looked him up online and found his driver's license or his license plate. And I'm like, okay, that's total bullshit. But okay.
So, I mean, can you also describe, the difference in your relationship before and after finding out this information and, what adjustments you've kind of made? Like, also, how long ago did this happen?
This happened back in June of 2024, so not even a year ago.
So, yeah, that's very recent. So can you kind of describe, like, the difference between, this happening, like when it happened and now, how you kind of like function within this relationship where this person is probably actively cheating on you?
I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of it since then. And one thing that my therapist told me is, I can get him to confess. I can do all the work, but it will probably always be in the back of my mind. And that's something that I've thought about a lot is like, will I ever truly be able to get over it? I'd like to say I can, but also it probably will always be in the back of my mind. Since then, I have told him that he's not allowed to have a password on his phone, and I have his location at all times. Now, there's been a few instances since then where his location has been randomly paused or he deleted it and blames it on the app going wrong, faulty technology.
Yeah, it's a really tough position to be in because it's so much easier said than done of, that's outrageous, leave. I mean, being a mother with support is hard enough. And then to become a single mother is just unimaginable. But you mentioned something before, and it's just interesting when we hear these situations because you said you still do love him.
I do.
Can you talk about that a little? And like I know it's probably difficult to hold both of those things at once, but you could obviously be very disappointed and hurt, but there's obviously still reasons that attracted you to this man. Like, is he a good father, and what are some of the, I guess, redeeming qualities and things that you love about him?
Yeah, so he's a very, very good father. And for the most part, we do get along really great. We have a lot of the same interests and hobbies. We're both big animal lovers, and we have a lot of animals that we take care of together. So for the most part, our day-to-day relationship is pretty good. I try not to bring it up. I try not to talk about it. For the most part, I'm just trying to move on from it, even though part of it, does eat away at me. But he is a good man. Beside, the prostitutes and the cheating.
Yeah, and I guess all like the deceit that comes with that.
Yeah.
That must be difficult. Like I would just imagine there's days where you just want to scream, or does it feel unfair to you? Especially you said you're pregnant now, like knowing that he's almost like having his cake and eating it too and getting everything he wants.
Yeah, that is something that I think about too. My parents just bought us a house, and so, he came from, like a not as wealthy family. And so part of me kind of thinks like, is he in it for the wrong reasons? Is he too comfortable? He gets this big, beautiful house to live in. And yeah, I mean, he's making his cake and eating it too. But then, part of me, I do believe he does truly love me, and doesn't want to hurt me. But
we're going to take a quick break from the episode to tell you about today's sponsors. Our first sponsor is AquaTrue. I know drinking water is important, and staying hydrated and healthy is something that a lot of us want to focus on every single day. In fact, 60% of our bodies are made up of water, so this is essential. And having safe and clean water is literally the last thing that any of us want to worry about. The thing is, according to extensive research by the Environmental Working Group, 3 out of 4 homes in America have harmful contaminants in their tap water. When I hear a statistic like that, it makes me terrified. I do not want to be drinking contaminated water. I want my kids to grow up healthy and strong and not have to worry about the water that they're drinking. So I know it's really scary to hear that, but we do have a solution. That solution is AquaTrue. AquaTrue purifiers use a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process, and their countertop purifiers work with no installation or plumbing, and they remove 15 times more contaminants than those ordinary pitcher filters that you use to filter your water. PFAs are found in almost 45% of U.S. tap water, so I'm grateful that AquaTrue is certified to remove these contaminants. The filters are affordable, they're long-lasting, so you don't have to change filters every 2 to 3 months. AquaTrue filters last from 6 months to up to 2 years. The water also tastes fantastic, honestly. I've been using this and I feel so much safer, and just the peace of mind knowing that my family is drinking water that has been purified through the AquaTrue filters. It literally helps me sleep at night. The setup's easy. I also use it for my tea, my coffee. I feel like it's made that taste better, so that's another perk. If you have a family pet, they should be drinking AquaTrue water also. And AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it makes a great gift as well. Installation's super easy, gets delivered right to your home. And today, our listeners can receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com, that's AQUATRU.com, and enter the code OPL at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com and use the code OPL. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Society today often glorifies hyper-independence. Do it yourself, figure it out yourself, work super hard, find the answers. So it's easy to forget that so many of the people that we look up to, our mentors, our idols, actually have support systems behind them. And therapy can act as an amazing support system. Therapy can be a great source of support for us. And it's time to shift the focus from doing it all and knowing it all to knowing when to ask for help and knowing how to ask for help. For me personally, therapy has helped me do this because I used to be someone who felt like I was in it alone, that I had to struggle alone, that I had to keep progressing in all areas of my life without asking for help because for some reason that would be a sign of weakness. But therapy has helped me understand that it wouldn't even make sense for me to have all the answers. I can continue seeking knowledge. I can continue seeking help. And it's okay to collaborate with others. It's okay to talk about my problems and work with people to try to help find the answer. And I'm really thankful for therapy for getting me to that point because it's very lonely and hard when you realize, before you realize that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to talk to others. If you're thinking about starting therapy, then you can give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is fully online, so it makes therapy affordable and convenient, and it currently serves over 5 million people worldwide. We all have super busy schedules, so being able to do online therapy that is flexible for your weekly schedule is super helpful. And BetterHelp offers access to a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties, and you can easily switch therapists anytime, and that's at no extra cost. So seriously, if you're struggling at all, if you've just been thinking about giving therapy a try, then you can build your support system with BetterHelp. You can visit betterhelp.com/OPL today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/OPL. You'll get 10% off your first month. Guys, it's really worth giving this a try if you've been thinking about it. Now back to the episode.
So is he kind of saying that he is a sex addict? And like, if you guys want to make it work, has there ever been this attempt to fix that with some sort of rehab or therapy?
I don't necessarily believe he is a sex addict. You think if he truly was a sex addict, I mean, he doesn't have all the money in the world to constantly hire prostitutes. I mean, from what I look, they're kind of expensive. And so I think that was an excuse that he used to justify his behavior. Like, he couldn't control it.
He also did stop having sex with you during that time. Yeah. So that's kind of strange.
Exactly. Yeah. And you would think if he was a sex addict, he'd want it all the time. I mean, I don't know. You think it'd be more than just prostitutes you'd want to have sex with.
Yeah. And do you think that could be the case? Like, you have caught him interacting with prostitutes, but do you think there's anything stopping him from having, an affair with someone that's not a sex worker or like a potential coworker or someone?
I think he's pretty insecure. And I think prostitutes are easier for him. They don't have to like him. He doesn't have to date him. He doesn't have to woo them, or anything like that. He can just text them and say, want to meet up, and it's easier. So I don't think he'd go as far to cheat on me, with a coworker or friend or anything like that. I think prostitutes just are too easy. Which nothing against. I don't mean that like negatively towards sex workers. I have no problem with sex workers.
No, I mean, by design, that's what they do. That's the service they fill. Yeah.
When you said earlier that you don't think that you'll be with him forever, do you kind of have an idea of when you would kind of make the jump to, being a single mother? And would you still allow him to be in your children's lives?
I would let him be in their lives. As far as me, finally ending it, I think I have to personally reach that breaking point. I know that sounds crazy because I should have reached my breaking point already. But I think I just mentally have to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this on my own. I do have family to support me. I can do this. He has to do enough for me to be like done. And
what would that be? Do you think? Like, what would it take?
It might be for when I actually find out, when he proves to me that he has done it. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe, instead of being able to work through it, it'll just be too much,
Is there like even a sliver of hope that you have that he is telling the truth?
There used to be. I don't think so anymore because there's just the evidence is too damning. I'm not stupid. I wanted to believe him, but no, I found too much evidence. There's no way. I mean, if he's truly addicted to these prostitutes, there's no way that he's never, ever actually met with them. I mean, does an alcoholic go and buy a bottle of alcohol every single day, but
just to look at it? Yeah.
Never going to take a sip of that drink. Like, even if it's, one or two or, however many the number actually is of how many he slept with them.
Do you think there's a chance that you will end up staying with him?
Maybe. If he does come clean and we're able to get into therapy and work through it, then maybe. If he wants to step up and be the man he's supposed to be, then, maybe.
Is there a world where you stay with him even if this is just like the status quo, like you assume and sort of know he's out doing this, you never get a crazy amount more evidence, but it's like pretty clear and obvious, but you can almost just kind of coast in this situation?
I don't think so. That's not healthy for me. So at some point, if I never get clarity, we never get therapy, then I will have to leave him, because it's eating at me. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, just from us listening and the viewers and listeners too, it's, you hear these stories and we don't know you, we don't know this person, but it makes you angry. Like, it makes you angry as just like a bystander to the situation, and it feels tremendously unfair to you. But, I think what's so interesting, and we thank you for, sharing all of this while you're in this dilemma and this battle with yourself, because you don't know what you would do if you were in the situation. And like you said, there's so many other circumstances and things to consider. And then you involve kids and potentially being a single mother. And there's just nothing easy, I think, about making the decision. I think, you can hear it and think like, I would never let this guy get away with this. I would confront him immediately. I'd leave his like whatever people will say. And unfortunately, the reality is it's just never that simple.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the people who I've talked to, they all say, leave, leave, leave. But it's not as easy when you've been in a relationship with somebody for so long and you have kids with them. Mm-hmm. It's not as easy just to pick up your things and go.
Yeah. And can you also just, I guess, describe your day-to-day today? Like, what is the relationship like now? Like, do you guys still go out on dates or have good times, or, how is it after knowing all of this?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, this morning, we got up together. He grabbed our child and, I made the coffee for us. We were laughing, we were talking, made breakfast together. So for the most part, our day-to-day relationship is pretty good. Very, very normal. We're still have kind of a lack of a sex life here, but with this pregnancy, I'm like, ugh, not in the mood.
It is strange to hear that. Like, I know I just said the whole thing about like it's not that easy, but still hearing that, like I said, it does make you angry, because like, I mean, I've talked to you for the past few minutes, so I feel like I know you a little, but yeah, it feels like, don't make his coffee. Don't pay any attention to him. I think I'm just going through the motions of what listeners will, and like why these conversations are so interesting and, create such a debate. But, there's so many emotions around it, but
there really is. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, maybe one day, like maybe you do realize one day it actually was as simple as just leaving him, but getting to that point of realizing that is rarely simple. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I was trying to say before, because maybe leaving him does solve everything and you do end up okay and you end up better than if you did stay with him. But coming to that conclusion is never that simple.
Yeah, and I also worry for like my future relationships, like, oh, this is going to fuck me up. I'm never going to be able to trust anybody ever again. But
totally, yeah.
Like, my therapist, so
yeah,
these prostitutes.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that could be a possibility. But yeah, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Like Greg was saying, like, we know it's probably not easy to talk about, and these types of things are very difficult for people to say out loud, even because, like we were saying earlier, everyone always looks at you like it's so simple, do the easy thing or this and that. But especially in relationships, it's one of those, parts of life where everything sounds so easy when it's not happening to you. And then when it's happening to you, it's very difficult to, be like, well, I know, I guess, what I should do right now, but it just doesn't feel like the right time, or, it's way more, you're emotionally attached to it. So it's much more difficult. So we sympathize with that, but we hope that, everything works out for you and you end up happy and, where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for reaching out and choosing our platform to be so open and honest. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Oh, man. That is a toughie.
It's crazy. I mean, I kind of said it on the show, but just briefly hearing the story of like a stranger situation can just create so many emotions within you. For some reason, when she said I made him coffee, I became furious inside.
Yeah.
Like, I want to punch this table.
You know how I thought about that? Because right before she had made a comment, and I was like, okay, clearly, like, in a vacuum, you're like, you're supposed to leave this guy and, like, you know, whatever. But she's dealing with a pregnancy. She's dealing with, like, a whole other thing that we cannot even imagine what that's like. And it almost feels like, because it makes no sense to us right now, like, why she would go about her day of being like, oh, everything's normal, we laugh, whatever. It's like, yo, don't laugh. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? But it's for her.
And
like,
the kids. The kid that's born already, too. You're just going to see, this horrible relationship in front of you and not model, like, what interacting with your partner should be. That's tricky, too.
And almost for her, she's like, I want to just have a normal day. Like, I don't want to always be thinking about this fucking thing that is, like, looming, and I know that this isn't going to work out and this is all basically fake, but I'm doing it because, like, I just don't want to be miserable every single second. And then, like, that's why, like, when you're unhappy in relationships or your marriages or whatever, it's like good days and bad days because you just want to have a good day.
Yeah, you still have other things in your life that, like, you want to feel positive in some aspect.
Exactly.
And it is this weird shared life experience that some people have that, like, for some reason, even if you're in a relationship that you know isn't right, even if it's not as extreme as what she's going through, it's just so hard to leave sometimes. And then in hindsight, you look back at that relationship in your life and it's like, why did I stay so long? Why was it so difficult for me to come to this decision to leave? But that is just the reality. And so many people have that experience. And I guess it just takes that process sometimes. Or like you said, like, it's easy to judge on the outside, but it happens to you and you almost get frozen, or like frozen to make the decision or take that leap. And I know people have experienced that. So I think, you know, they can at least maybe relate those experiences to what she's going through.
Yeah, and everyone has gone through everyone has gone through a breakup or been broken up with, and like, even in those moments, you can feel like like you said, like frozen. You're like, this is the right. Am I doing the right thing? It feels wrong, or you know, whatever. But yeah, I guess looking back, it's kind of like, all right, well,
it seems simple.
Yeah, but you know, also just giving yourself the like room to be like, well, that was a different time, and also like, that is difficult. Like, we're hearing it from someone that everyone's gonna be listening to this, like, you have every fucking, like, you're talking about a breaking point. Like, how is 100 prostitutes not the breaking point?
Right. But how have you not stabbed this man in the neck while he's sleeping?
Yeah, it's like, but it's different for everyone, and you don't know the ins and outs of people's relationships. We've talked to this one for maybe 20 minutes or something like that. We don't know the ins and outs of their relationships, how emotionally attached they were, or, you know, what type of relationship they're in. Like, it's hard. Like, of course, in a vacuum, you're like, dude, leave this guy. It's never going to work out. And it's like, you know, whatever.
My fear, though,
can't judge people.
Hearing like she comes from a well-off family, it seems. Yeah. They bought it. The parents bought it. If people, like, I can understand that you love him for reasons, that he could be a good man in some aspects. We don't know him. But people so capable of that type of deceit and manipulation and lying, it does make me worry. Like, what if he is just in it for the perks, for the house, for the money that is tied to her, and he is just an all-around not good guy.
Right.
That's scary. I mean, that's like sociopathic tendencies we're talking about, where someone could fake it and put it on. That's scary too.
Yeah. So, but I mean, all we can do over here is wish her the best. So, you know, obviously, you know, in the comments, I think just be sympathetic to her position, that, like, you know, people are in relationships that they feel like they know they should leave and it's not working out and this and that. It's just difficult to get to that point. It seems like she has her mind made up though, to be fair. It's like, I'm now doing this selfishly, like putting on a face and like, I just want to get through this fucking pregnancy and like not be miserable on 10 fronts. So I'm kind of like getting to a point, but it sounds like she sort of made up her mind of like, this isn't going to work out.
I hope
that's true.
But I think if you live in that kind of like autopilot purgatory for too long, that like finish line it keeps getting further. So I hope because it seems like the best thing for her eventually could be getting out of this. I don't know if this guy's just going to turn around and all of a sudden come clean and say, I'm sorry, I need help. How can I just completely prove to you that I will never do this again? But who knows? We do wish her the best.
Yep. But for anyone else that would like to be a guest on the show, hit us up. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us your story and we'll get back to you.
Yes, we are always recording new episodes, always responding to emails. So if you think it might be a fit, just reach out. Maybe we'll have some follow-up questions, things like that. A lot of people who come on this show and have amazing episodes, the first line of their email is like, oh, I've been wanting to send this for years and I finally just sent it. So if you think you have a story, just send it. We'll read it. And that's that. And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at OPL Podcast. You can support the show at patreon.com/OPL show. And that is all.
See you next time.